Welcome to another instructional video for the game EVE Online. I'm Amoni Panala, and I get many requests from people at EVE University. I can't make it to your classes. They're going to be a recording. And the answer is always no. I don't record the classes that I have people attending because I don't want people to feel embarrassed or put on the spot when asking questions that may seem dumb or uninformed or whatever. I don't want any of that. So what I'm doing here is recording classes that would normally be taught at EVE University and providing them here on YouTube. So there is no one attending this class except for you who are watching it on YouTube. Thank you. Like I said, I'm Amoni Panala. My pronouns are she, her. And let's dive into our class. So today we're talking about exploration. We're going to talk about what exploration is, uh, what you're doing, the types of exploration, what kind of ships you fly, what kind of modules you need, the skills, and you as a pilot, what you need to be able to do to be able to successfully be an explorer. We'll talk about scanning down sites, and we'll talk about hacking and the mini game around hacking, and we'll talk about some tips and tricks, particularly the rule of six, which is going to be a game changer if you've been struggling with the hacking mini game. Um, so let's dive into it. So, what is exploration? Exploration is comes in two forms. You've got cosmic anomalies, which are your green sites. You've also got cosmic signatures, which are your red sites. Green sites you can warp to, right? You just click on them and warp to them. Cosmic signatures have to be scanned down before you can warp to them. Now, cosmic anomalies you can find in your agency window. Um, and I'm just going to say this right off the bat. When you're getting started, the agency is super helpful because it organizes a lot of information. But if you find the agency really tedious to navigate like I do, don't feel like you have to use it. The reason I want to show you this is because, as you can see in my screenshots here, you've got things like combat sites, ore sites, and faction warfare complexes. These are all going to show up as green sites depending on where you are in space. So things like faction warfare complexes, those are going to show up in war zones, in LowSec, right? Those are going to be uh, PvE slash PvP or PvPE, PvPVE, right? Like, because you are basically trying to hold a site, and occasionally an NPC spawns that you have to shoot or you have to defend it. Um, and ta-da, but you know, enemy players will come in and try to stop you. Um, Or anomalies, those are pretty self-explanatory, right? They're very much like asteroid belts, except they spawn randomly. And these could be ice, these could be valuable ores, or they could be just, run-of-the-mill ores. In wormhole space, you're going to find these ore sites, and that's pretty much the only ore you're going to find, right? Um, unless you are pulling moon chunks, right? Combat anomalies, also relatively self-explanatory. This is PvE content. Warp to it, rats spawn, You fight the rats, they die, you get money, you get LP, uh, we all go home happy. Actually, I think only some of them give you LP. Things like incursions give you LP, others give you just the bounties and maybe occasionally some loot that drops from the wrecks. Cosmic signatures, on the other hand, that's a whole nother can of worms. And this is where exploration really gets exciting, right? Because you can have combat sites, you can have ghost sites, gas sites, wormholes, relic, and data sites, right? So all these different types of content that you can find, and not all of it is going to be for you, and that's okay. Uh, some of it is going to be more challenging than others, right? So the combat sites that you find, um, might be more challenging. Ghost sites are definitely going to be somewhere in the, you know, more difficult for beginner explorers. I would put it like advanced exploration, right? But there's a step even above that, and we can talk about that at the end. Then you have gas sites, which are also pretty self-explanatory. Now, in known space, you can find gas sites, and it's all good. I will warn you, in wormhole space, you will also find gas sites, but they are far more dangerous because they spawn rats. Um, you can also find wormholes, gateways to a unique kind of space, um, also can act as shortcuts to different parts of New Eden. You can find relic sites and data sites, and this is where a lot of new explorers are going to start, right? With your data and relic sites. In known space and wormhole space, you are going to find cosmic signatures that turn out to be relic and data sites. If they are named with a pirate faction, they've got goodies for you. These are abandoned locations, right? There's no NPCs there. Abandoned sites that you can warp to and salvage or recover some treasure. Basically, you get to be Indiana Jones in space. Okay? That's pretty cool. Now, you can make a lot of money doing either one of these things. Right off the bat, I'm going to say scanning down cosmic signatures and hacking data sites, hacking relic sites, probably a lot easier than combat anomalies, but it's really about what you want to invest your time and energy into, right? The number of skills that you have to train into to begin exploration are few. Very few skills are required. The number of skills that you have to train into to be able to do combat sites start off very low, but then once you start needing to make more money, you're going to have to keep improving your skills. If you want to do combat, if you're looking for shooting rats and stuff, you want the green sites. If you are looking for mining, gas harvesting, uh, being Indiana Jones in space, those are your red sites, your cosmic signatures. And of course, the the one that I'm going to recommend for all new players, is going to be the Indiana Jones in space. You're looking for data sites. You're looking for relic sites. Now, to get started, these are the ships that you should fly, right? And I say that because these ships have the bonuses that are going to make this kind of exploration easy, or at least easier. So, depending on what empire you started out with, you're gonna want to fly one of these. If you started out in Amar, you want to fly the Magne. If you started out in Galente, take the Imicus. If you started out with the Caldari, take the Heron. Mimitar, take the Probe. I strongly recommend that as you train into stuff, you get the Caldari, that you train into the Caldari, because once you get to the T2 frigates, the Buzzard is arguably the best because of the bonuses that it gets. Train though whatever empire you started with, train that frigate to 4. It takes 2 days, but it's not terrible, and you don't have to wait until that training is done to start exploring. But you're gonna want to put it in your queue. Each each skill level uh, that you train up, you're going to increase your ability to explore because these ships get bonuses to exploration. As you can see in my screenshot, the Caldari frigate bonus per skill level is 7.5% bonus to core and combat scanner probe, meaning you can scan a lot better, which means you don't have to spend as much time scanning, and you get a 5% reduction in salvager duration. Now, whether that is something that matters to you, meh, that's for you to decide, depending on what you're doing. And like I said, here are the T2 versions. Now, obviously, if you're an alpha clone, you're not going to be able to train into these T2 ships. Unfortunately, T2 ships are locked to Omega. If you do have Omega, I strongly recommend that you train into these if exploration is something that you are interested in, or you're interested in wormholes and you may want to live in a wormhole sometime, or just spend a lot of time in wormholes. Train into these T2s, and I would strongly recommend training into the Caldari. If you are not an Omega, you do have some options. There's the Navy versions of these ships, which are going to get better performance, better protection. They are going to cost more. And then at the apex of expensive, but also beneficial, is going to be the Astero, which is a Sisters of Eve ship. Now, there are so many reasons why the Astero is both good and bad. I can't possibly go into all of them. I do want to say that if you're looking at the price of the Astero and you're thinking, there's no way I can afford that, don't worry about it. Just fly a Heron, fly your Probe, fly your Imicus, fly your Magnet. Don't worry about trying to get into these really expensive ships. Just focus on doing the actual exploration. The money will come the more that you explore, the more that you hack. And if you are a member of Eve University, we have Herons on the flight deck for free. If you're not sure how to get contracts down from the flight deck, ask in Discord. It's there for you so that you can go out there and explore, make some money, and it costs you nothing. So, regardless of what skill level you are at, these are the essentials, right? You need a core probe launcher and you need core probes. This is what's going to allow you to scan down the cosmic signatures. You're going to need a data analyzer. This will allow you to hack data sites. And you need a relic analyzer, which, you guessed it, it's going to allow you to hack relic sites. These are some modules that you can put on there as uh, quality of life features, and I'll explain what these do. So you have the micro warp drive, relatively self-explanatory, but it is a propulsion module or a prop mod. It makes you go fast, and going fast is good because when you get to a data or relic site, you're going to be moving from one can to another can to another can, and slow boating it around can take forever if you don't have a micro warp drive. On the flip side, a micro warp drive makes you go very fast. And if you are turning on your micro warp drive to get from one can to the other, you might overshoot and just go right past the can. And then you have to loop back around and wait for it. And I will warn you, if you start your hack while you are making your approach and then you overshoot the can and get outside of the range of your relic or data analyzer, you're going to fail the hack. And you only get so many chances before that can just blows up. Goodbye loot. All right, this is the equivalent of the big boulder falling down and, almost smushing Indiana Jones, right? So bear that in mind. The alternative would be an afterburner. It's less powerful, but it is more reliable in that way. You're not going to go as fast, but you are going to move a little faster than if you didn't have a prop mod. You could also fit either a nanofiber internal structure or an inertial stabilizer. These two modules do very much similar things. Uh, the nanofiber internal structure basically makes your ship lighter. It reduces the overall mass of your ship. It's like the difference between building a ship out of metal and building a ship out of wood. Obviously, your ship is not made of wood, but you kind of get what I'm saying. It's all about the design. Now, that means that your ship is more fragile if you use the nanofiber, but it also means that you move a lot better and you move a lot faster. Inertial stabilizers allow you to maneuver a lot better, which means that you can get to warp faster, right? It also means that you can move around the cans faster. So, again, it's more of a personal preference thing. Your ship is already fairly fragile, so play around with both options and find out what you feel works best for you and your playstyle. At the bottom here, we have the scan range finding array. This is going to help you with improving your scanning. It makes scanning a lot better. You do have to train into it. You're going to need Science 3, Astrometric Range Finding 2. It's not a big train, but it is something that you're going to have to train into. So just be aware of that. These things will help you, and I strongly recommend that you train your scanning skills. These are going to make exploration a lot less tedious. The last one I have here is this cargo scanner. Now, it is debatable how much this actually helps, but here's what some people use it for. When you get to a data site or a relic site, you can use a cargo scanner on the cans to see what's inside. This will allow you to make an informed decision about which cans you're going to hack. So if you just want to hack specific cans to get the most and leave the junk, that is an option. As a note, it is considered bad manners to hack relic and data sites in the staging areas and are in the nearby area of our staging areas. So Stackmon, PC9, Innuendo. It is bad manners to hack those sites and leave some cans and only take certain ones. So if you are only exploring in and around our staging areas, don't use a cargo scanner. If you're going way out there, if you're yeeting yourself into nullsec using filaments, bring a cargo scanner. You'll save yourself some time and some headache. But definitely be mindful and be courteous of your fellow Unistas, because what happens is if you leave a couple cans, the site takes longer to despawn and bring up new sites in the area. Okay? So that's the whole thinking behind the common courtesy, caring for your fellow Unistas, and being a good citizen in the community. Here are some example fits, and if you have any questions, you can always ask in the Discord. Folks are very accommodating about, helping you figure some of this out. I will say, again, any one of these is just fine. However, the Heron has the most mid slots, and mid slots are what you need to put in modules that help you scan, as well as your data and relic analyzers, right? These are some of your most important modules for exploration, and you can fit more of them in the Heron. So consider that as you're training into ships, as you're looking at what ship you want to fly. The Heron is, in some ways, significantly better than any of these other ships. You do you, but the Heron offers quite a bit of an advantage over these other ships. So I mentioned earlier that it is worth training into these skills, and here are these skills. So at a minimum, astrometrics. This is the skill that is going to allow you some accuracy as you scan. The more that you train this, the better that your scanning is. So as you're scanning down a signature, it turns orange, starts out red, then turns orange, then turns green once you have it fully scanned down. You will spend more time at the very beginning in that red and orange phase of scanning down, where you have only a certain percentage of the signature scanned down. The more that you train astrometrics, the less time you're going to spend scanning down each signature. The same with astrometric range finding, pinpointing, and acquisition. Now you will notice pinpointing, astrometric pinpointing, reduces scan deviation, right? So that's all about accuracy in narrowing down the location of a signature. It is locked to omega. So alphas be mindful of this. You're going to want to train up all these other skills as much as you can, but pinpointing is not going to be available to you. So definitely focus on astrometrics because that is also going to give you a scan deviation bonus. As for the hacking itself, you want to train up archaeology for relics, hacking for data. These are going to give you what's called virus coherence. And this is essentially your hacking program's health, right? So if you think of your virus as your avatar in the hacking mini game, training up archaeology and hacking is increasing your HP for your virus. At the bottom here, I have uh, I have a screenshot that shows the limitations for alphas. Alphas, I don't want you to get discouraged seeing this. I know it looks like, oh, I can't train these very high. What is the point? This is enough. I want you to know that this is enough to make good money exploring. I know it's not I know it's not fives all around, but it is enough to make good money. We are talking in the area of 50 million if you are industrious about it. It's all up to you and what you want to do. Now, you as a player, there's things that you need to know. You need to know how to get from system to system, right? And you need to know how to move around in a system. These are very basic. You probably already know these things, but it's worth mentioning. And if you have questions, if you are confused, or if you feel like, dang, this is really hard, what am I doing wrong? Ask in the Discord. And the Discord, I will say, has public channels. So even if you're not a member of Eve University, you can ask your questions, and folks will generally be super helpful in trying to help you. So please join the Eve University Discord, ask your questions. Folks can help you out there. The other thing that you're going to want to need to know is how to make bookmarks, how to use your D-scan or your directional scanner, and how to read your overview. Now, we have classes on this stuff. We have an intro to bookmarks. We have an intro to D-scan. I have done videos on both the intro to bookmarks and the book intro to D-scan, so I highly recommend you check those out. And the overview is relatively self-explanatory, but I strongly recommend that you check out the intro to D-scan because I go over a lot of what you need to know about the overview as we talk about how that plays with the directional scanner. You're also going to need to know how to scan down a site. And then, lastly, you're going to need to know how to play the hacking minigame. So, let's talk about how you scan. So, as an explorer, you're going to be looking at these two screens quite a bit. And I don't want you to get intimidated if you've never seen this before and you're like, whoa, this is a lot. Don't worry. It's actually not as bad as it looks. There's just a lot of different lines and a lot of words, but it's okay. So, on the left-hand side, right, we have the scanner probe window. This is going to tell us what cosmic signatures and uh, combat sites and all that good stuff is out there. Now, if you're looking for cosmic signatures and you don't want to see the green sites, you can just filter them out. There's a little drop down menu over here. You can click that and you can deselect anomalies. And then all the green sites go away and you can just focus on the red sites. As an additional pro tip, once you start scanning things down, you're going to find things that are not of interest to you. If you're not ready to explore wormholes and dive in there, that's okay. But what you can do is you can right click on a cosmic signature that you don't care about and then select ignore result. And that's going to make it disappear. So that way you're narrowing down the amount of information that you have to look at. And I don't, depending on how your brain works, but mine, the less information I have to stare at, the better. Over here, you can see some different formations for uh, probe scanning. I generally just use the default. It is a overlapping circular pattern. Uh, you can also manually adjust the probes if you really want to. Um, you can play around with these different settings and see what they do, but the default is probably going to be the most reliable for you. If you play around with it and you find one that works better for you, just use that. Over here we have a little slider here, and in my example screenshot it says 16 AU. What does this mean? It means the scanner probes have been scattered out into space, and there's 16 AU from your ship. It's basically like a shotgun pattern shot out into space. These scanner probes have a limited range as to how far they can scan, which is what you're seeing represented in this screenshot on the right side. You see these light green or kind of like a teal colored circles. These are the ranges of the individual probes, and they're overlapping with each other, which is why we have this really complicated design looking thing here. And they're all centered around this one cosmic signature. You can adjust how far out or how close in the probes are. You want to start big and work your way small. I recommend that you don't go bigger than 8 AU, because if you go bigger than that, what happens is you're going to get a whole bunch of cosmic signatures that are um, giving you weird readings, and it's just going to add to the complexity of information that you have to focus on and pay attention to. As a pro tip, when you start scanning a system, there might be a lot of information. You can click on, like in the example here, you can click on an individual cosmic signature, and that one is going to be highlighted on your system map over here in this what you see here. When you are ready to begin a scan, you hit analyze. It's going to run a scan. You're going to hear, if you have your sound on, you're going to hear a little tone, and then it's going to update, and you're going to see this percentage. Hopefully it's going to go up. Then you're going to adjust where the probes are using these arrows, moving them back and forth, up and down, and you're doing that with your left mouse, but with your right mouse you can adjust the camera. You can also use these two buttons to snap the camera, but it's probably going to be more efficient to use your right your right mouse key to manually pivot the camera. You want to make sure that you are adjusting both on the y-axis, the z-axis, and the x-axis. So make sure that you're keeping in mind that this cosmic signature exists in a 3D space, right? up, down, and side to side. Make sure that you're covering all the angles. It doesn't have to be right on the center of the red, but you do want to make sure that all the overlapping circles cover that cosmic signature, because that means you're going to get the best scanning strength that you possibly can at the probe size and diameter that you are using. All right. Now, once you find a site, you're going to find cans. You use your data or relic analyzer, depending on which kind of site you're at, and it's going to bring up this window where you are clicking on what's called nodes, and it is going to either reveal a blank space like this orange empty circle here. It's going to, or it might give you a tool like this wrench here, this utility subsystem self-repair, or there might be protections to keep you out in place, such as a restoration node, a firewall, antivirus, or a virus suppressor. When you reach the end game, you are looking for the system core. This is what's going to unlock the can and let you get into the goodies. The trick is these these protections prevent you from advancing. So if you started over here and you've got to get to the system core over here, you've got to successfully navigate your way through here without knowing that these protections are here. When you come across them, you can use your virus to break them down. But as I mentioned earlier, your virus only has so much HP, and then you're done. Once you reach zero, that's the end of it. You're going to have to try again from zero. You get 3 attempts before the can blows up. The can blowing up will not hurt you in data and relic sites that are that have pirate labels. These are going to be Angel, Blood Raider, Garista. Each of these does something different. Probably the most frustrating one is going to be the restoration node, because it heals these other ones. The second most frustrating is going to be the virus suppressor, which basically makes your ability to break these down less effective. I strongly recommend that if you get a restoration node, you break it down. These other ones you can ignore unless you need to get to it, because you know that the system core is probably behind one of them. Just be careful, because your virus goes down. I mentioned these tools. These tools can help you. Pay attention to what they do. The shield protects you from the damage to your virus that each of these does. The wrench repairs any damage to your virus. The kernel rot reduces the strength of these protections. Okay? And there's a couple more, so just pay attention to what they do. That if you hover over them, they will give you descriptions. But hang on to them when you get them until you need them. Don't just necessarily Click on them because you have them. Save them for when you need them. Okay? This is sort of a breakdown of each of these. These are what the icons look like. These are your utility subsystems. These are the things that help you. These are the things that make it hard for you. These are the protections to keep you out. This is your HP, right? Your virus's HP. And this is how much damage your virus does. So you need damage to be able to break through the protections. You also need damage to get through the system core. As I said before, you can safely ignore most of these, especially the antivirus and firewall. You want to get rid of the restoration node because otherwise it's going to make life miserable for you as it repairs these things. You may also want to get rid of the virus suppressor because it reduces your virus strength. I said I would give you some tips and tricks. This is the best tip, best trick for hacking. As you are clicking on these data nodes, you might find wide open spaces like this. If you happen to find 6 nodes all together, all surrounded, right? So you have 6, you have a node, and then you have 6 others. Those are always going to be safe. That node is always going to be safe unless the system core is in one of those 6 nodes. Now that can be a huge clue. So if you find a firewall here, right? That means that the system core is probably here. You're obviously going to need to take care of the firewall first, but now you know system core is probably here. This means that as you are scanning, you want to look for these areas where there are 6 nodes surrounding one node. You know it's safe to hack through there, and if you end up bumping into a firewall, restoration, whatever the case may be, that means the system core is in one of those 6. And now you've just made your work a lot easier because you don't have to go through the entire spread of nodes. You know that the system core is right nearby. And these are not necessarily specific to exploration, but these are going to be some tips that are going to help you in general, but especially for exploration. The faster you are, the less time you spend in one spot. Staying in one spot is a good way to get caught, especially if you're exploring in lowsec, nullsec, or wormhole space, right? Don't hang around for too long in any of these areas where people will try to blow you up. Be sure to rename your ship. Right-click on your ship, set name, or change name, whichever is appropriate. If your name is default, it is going to say, you know, Jane Doe's cheetah, Jane Doe's imicus, Jane Doe's heron, whatever the case may be. That is going to make it a lot easier for people who want to blow you up to find you and learn information about you. If you are able to cloak, be sure to drop your probes, warp to a safe spot, cloak up, and start scanning. If you don't have a cloak, if you are an alpha, know that you can scan while you are in warp, which means you can drop your probes, find a place to warp to, hit warp, start scanning. Keep doing that so that you're never in the same place for long. If you are in known space, which is high sec, low sec, null sec, pay attention to local. Do you have people in local with you? They are potentially going to try to find you. If it is empty, you are relatively safe. But pay attention if somebody comes into system. Also use your D-scan. Make sure that you are using bookmarks. Create safes. Sitting in a safe is relatively safe. Use gate perches. Use your gate tacticals. Work to bookmarks, not to gates, especially in nullsec where the danger of bubbles, right? The danger of bubbles is real. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, be sure to check out the Intro to Bookmarks class. I made a video on it. You can check it out there. If you are a member of Eve University, it is a good idea to bookmark the sites that you scan down, even if you're not going to run them. That is just a courtesy. And be prepared to lose your ship. Eve University provides ships on flight deck for free so that, yes, it's no fun to see your ship get blown up. But it's okay, we have more. Now, I have no class in attendance, but if you have questions, feel free to leave them as a comment to this video. I will try to answer as many as I can, as often as I can. I can't promise to get to all of them, but I will do my best. Otherwise, I wish you all the best. Give me a like, subscribe, and maybe hit the bell so you can be notified when my next class video comes out. Fly safe, everybody.